Hello, I'm John Lithgow. These days I'm appearing in Mr. and Mrs. Fitch with Jennifer Ely at the Second Stage Theater, and I have a show in about 3 hours, but now I'm here to answer questions for Broadway.com. So shoot, first question, please. I don't remember having any real difficulties. There was sort of stamina problems because it's a big part and a guy just keeps on singing. But you know, by the time you get to the hardest number, the Dirty Rotten Guys number, you know, it's time to blow it all out, give everything you've got left in your tank, and you're just flying. As you know, that's a fabulous number to perform. And you know, I hope you have a good Freddie. I had Norbert Leo Butz, and my God, he made it just a ball from start to finish. I was a shy little kid, and I grew up in a theater family that was basically, I lived my young years in a gypsy wagon. I lived in about 10 different places, which was hard for a shy boy, but it was also good for me. By the time I finished high school, I had continually adapted to new situations. And I'm sure that that had a lot to do with me becoming an actor, overcoming my shyness and figuring out how to fit in. Now I do it with an audience. I played, there's a French play called Noah, about Noah and the Ark by André Aubé, and I played Noah, which was a big bravura performance. That's what got me elected president of the student council. I don't know that there are any real models for the Trinity Killer, but it made for an astounding piece of fictional television. It was an incredible piece of storytelling, and the part was very, very well written, and I think I was very well cast for it. Somebody who's well known for being a sort of benign, almost innocuous person. To have that malevolence right under the surface is very, very scary. All right, I want to make your day. I have to say that's about the first time in 8 years I've done it. You know, it would never occur to me. I'm too old for it now, turns out. Now I would have to play Ren's grandfather or something. No, I must say, the only time I've ever seen the stage musical was in a student production. And Reverend Shaw Moore was played by a talented kid, all right, but he was about 5'2" and must have weighed about 300 pounds, and I was a little dismayed. It's like, did I look like that? Oh my God. I would not invest in it. All of my awards I have in storage. I simply don't know where to put them. I don't want to inflate myself, but you display an award when you have 2 or 3. If you have 10 or 11 or 12 of these statues, it gets a little bit showy. So I keep them in storage. I do have my Golden Globe, and I have my most recent Tony, but that's just because they're still hanging around the house. Yes, well, I loved making CDs for kids. I made 3 of them. Singing in the Bathtub, Farkle and Friends, and The Sunny Side of the Street, which was my most recent and Grammy-nominated one. You know, I'm not doing the concerts much these days, and so I'm not developing new material just from working too hard in other areas. The time will come around when I'll do another one. I just had a wonderful time recording and working with record producers and musicians, so I'll do it again. I know what you're asking. Everybody wondered back then who my character, I think his name was Lucas Sargent, who he was based on. When Fosse directed me in the role, he was constantly tossing out little reference points, you know, just think of this guy, think of that. The list grew longer and longer, and I realized I'm simply playing a sort of composite of every rival Bob Fosse has ever had. So I was Hal Prince, I was Mike Nichols, I was Gower Champion, I was Michael Bennett. I was all those guys in one. Basically, I was Lucas Sargent. Well, I would say the roles that I'm most proud of was in a show that ran for exactly 3 performances on Broadway after its opening night, and that was Mount and Mcclintock in Requiem for a Heavyweight. This is a show that had been a huge hit up at Long Wharf Theater, came to Broadway, and the producers basically put it on with no war chest. It needed rave reviews and lines around the block the next morning, or it would close right away, and it closed right away. I was so proud of that role. I even won a Drama Desk Award for it, even though it only had 3 performances. Nobody has ever asked me that question, I have to tell you. I just quickly rattle through all the people who've gotten all the roles that I didn't get. It could be Bill Hurt, or Jeff Bridges, or Sam Waterston, or Ed Harris, or Jonathan Pryce, or Michael Moriarty, or John Cleese. All those people have gotten my roles, but I've gotten a few of theirs too. Well, you sort of had to get used to that. He even did that off stage, so before long it was second nature. Debra Winger. I absolutely loved playing opposite Debra Winger in terms of endearment. I can answer that one fast. I'm a character guy. Two of the most potent weapons are cross-dressing and nudity. I mean, you really grab people's attention. And that's what I do, you know. It was fantastic doing Roberta Muldoon because it was a vivid and moving character, along with being kind of humorous and comical. I also played Margaret Thatcher on Saturday Night Live on one occasion. And of course, I was in drag at the last image of Raising Cain and scared the daylights out of everybody. It's an amazing tool for having an impact, and that was certainly the case with the nudity in Dexter. Difficult? I would say it's more difficult performing in the nude, just because you're automatically so self-conscious about it. My sister always told me that I was most like Roberta Muldoon. I'm not a transsexual, but in playing that part, my whole approach to it was to do as little acting as possible, to play the part very, very sincere and true and simply, almost inconspicuously, and let the fact of the wig and the makeup and the clothes take care of everything else and my basic behavior. But when my sister saw Roberta Muldoon, she said, "Yeah, John, that's you," which actually I took as a compliment. Thank you so much for your questions. There were some great ones there. And please come to see Mr. and Mrs. Fitch at the Second Stage Theater in the next couple of months. You may not get in if you don't act fast.